same, yeah.
Oh, it's same, yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go. So now,
I had printed mine up already, so.
after that trip, they're going to Australia and New Zealand, but they had like 35 days.
Oh, yeah.
First off, I don't like to fly. It's
Oh.
24 hours on the flight.
Yeah, it's a hell of a long, that's a long,
Living in the Philippines, I know what it's like to fly.
I was gonna say, yeah, you've flown that flight before.
No,
No, we just, well, I said the word literally, we finalized, and we're gonna be heading out west a lot this year, that's the goal. We just bought,
And they,
just bought the RV
and they-
literally
they-
today,
They
bought it.
smile
So
and
we
they
will
nod
be-
their heads, and I say, I want you to remember them.
Oh, yeah.
I want you
We're
to
gonna build
write
on, I'm
all
gonna build on that.
your memories
Oh,
down,
yeah.
because you're not gonna do it.
Gotta sell something. North Carolina's for sale, got some good interest on that. We were gonna retire there, so,
Yeah, but my son.
but that's for sale, this is for sale. I gotta sell something to start building. I got too much property. Too much property sitting out there though. It's not about, you know what, the West Magnolia, I don't really care about if it sits for a while, that can sit and, you know, that's okay. I mean, I know the townhome will sell, because we're getting a whole rehab, $10 million worth of rehab. And Susan Builders got $10 million. So we'll put $6
Actually, I have your
million
birthday
right back into
present
the,
that I
so it wasn't specifically us.
lot different,
There's two other versions of this. The other, the Lake Mary one,
Fences up and all kinds of stuff.
but we got lucky brought it earlier. But so they stripped all the stuff that had to come off, all
You can always
the,
walk in the classroom without
it's panelized, stuck in a whole different system. But we had to sue them and got enough to redo the whole
I'm
building.
gonna have new
Landscaping's gonna start going up.
which means I have to pack everything.
Landscaping, we're just gonna start with
Which means-
one building to let everybody see. And all landscaping's gonna be done. So at that point, I'm waiting for, my building starts in April.
Really?
Yeah, it's coming right next. So it starts April, and then like, so June 1st, they'll like release it. So like somewhere mid to mid, it'll start.
That
going.
was, yeah. Yeah,
See, you've got fairy dust in here.
I know, isn't that cool?
Very cool.
I decided
yes,
I was gonna do
yes.
something fun
Finally, they
every
painted
day
that.
during spring
Actually,
break.
I grew up in Claremont.
And I wound up
Okay,
doing.
so it's fairy dust in your hair.
No, that was,
Yeah,
the
lived there all
first
my
day of
life till I
spring
got
break, I
married.
had a haircut, and I,
Or that kind of straight out, like me or what?
How you doing, sir?
oh, I was going to tell you about that too, but this is not here.
No, Claremont is more
You made it here on a Wednesday night.
Story
So.
I want to hear. Carl wants to hear it. He's just a gentleman and doesn't want to say it out loud.
and then they honor whatever 50-year class will be, which
All right, we're having fun over in this corner. I'm sure somebody's going to mess that up.
I have fun everywhere I go, I mean, it doesn't have to be in a corner.
Oh, me too.
Claremont High School.
They put me in a corner at school, and I'm all by my little lonesome, but
We're late.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Can everyone hear me on this? We'll do the best. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
Call to order this meeting of the City of Oviedo Charter Review Committee. It is 5:33. Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's 5:33 p.m. Sorry for the slight delay at the beginning. If I could ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Present.
Present.
Marion Bryant. Dominic Senior.
Present.
Karen Hardy.
present.
Carl Barber.
Present.
Kathy Allison.
Present.
Edie Ford. Kevin Hikes. Lou Klinger.
Here.
Nancy Zolera.
Here.
Nicole Martin.
Here.
Rebecca O'Brien.
Here.
Stephen Shen.
Here.
Victor Bocastria.
Present.
Fantastic. We have a quorum, and first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the March 11, 2026 meeting. Those minutes were included in the agenda packet for this meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hold on.
Aye.
Wait, I believe there is a typo
Oh, yes, sir.
on page 4, bottom.
Could you make sure that your microphone's on, please?
Yeah, I don't know that it's picking me up very much.
Test.
Maybe I should,
Testing.
yeah.
Just remember, we're old.
Hey,
I want to hear him.
you're all right.
Let's try this now. Yeah, that's a lot
Much better.
Whoa. Victor, yes, sir, the typo on page 4.
Yeah, I believe the
Nicole,
very
I've known
last
her for
sentence has
20
changed from 2 years
5 years we've
or
known each
4-year term. It should
At
be
least
from
25
2
years
to
at least.
4, not or,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken.
30,
The last
yeah,
sentence.
at least, yeah.
I'm so sorry, I'm looking on,
Yeah, if I may.
please.
Oh, no, I'm talking about, yeah. Yeah, it's just the terms from 2
Yeah, there is a typo, the word "or" needs to be changed to 2 on this, so if the mover and second, if it's their pleasure, we'll incorporate that correction.
Sounds good.
Hearing no objection.
No objection.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Thank you very much for that. Minutes passed. And move on now to public comment. Is there any member of the public here to provide comment to us? Seeing none, we will once again renew our invitation to members of the public to come speak to us about potential charter amendments. Moving on then to our work for this evening. Members, you have before you, and actually very nicely up here, both pages up here on the display, your running list of suggested topics that you've been working for previously. I did some minor surgery to it to make this a tool to do some work today. I added just reference numbers on the side, just taking it in the order that it is so we can hop around easily and just describe it by number if we want to. And then I have a place for notation for us to write down decisions or directions that the committee make, because where we're at now, as I indicated at your last meeting, now's the time to start making some decisions about what you want to have in your recommendations to the city council and what is not going to be in there. So with that, does everybody have a copy? Pass out a copy here. I wanted to, I know we're trying not to pass out as much paper, but I thought it would be useful to have this in hand because we might be jotting down notes and what have you. Before I start just plowing through in numerical order, wanted to ask again, everyone please take a look at what I have jotted down in the CRC decision or direction as of right now. This is my best recollection looking over the minutes and otherwise recalling from your last meeting to fill this in, but I would welcome anything else stemming out of that last meeting. And if anything pops up, if you have a different recollection, you're welcome to share as we go on through. Are there any particular items, again, before I start just plowing through numerically, that anyone would like to bring up for a proposal of trying to get everyone on board to say this is a charter amendment we need to propose, or the contrary? Any particular item you'd like to jump to at this point?
Hey, Wade,
Yes, sir.
If I may, I think 11, I think we disposed of 11.
That was one I could not recall if
And I think
If we had or
disposed
not,
of
so.
14.
I think those were discussed. Yeah, both of those, I think were matters I couldn't recall how definitive we had been on this. So let me go ahead and ask the committee. With regard to 11, and that was change from at-large council member to district-based or hybrid council member elections. Is there any strong indication from a majority of this committee to go for that?
You called that question last meeting. So
All right.
That got
But I'm very
disposed.
persuasive, it got on your list.
That's right, and I do recall that discussion now, thank you, is a long 2 weeks. I've been out of the country until just a couple days
It
ago.
was a discussion of one.
Yeah. All right, so with that, then, based on that discussion that's coming back to me now, we're going to note down there the notation that I have on these other ones of no further action.
Yeah, so 11, 14, and 6, I thought we disposed of last week also.
So, yeah, let's just plow
Last
through some of
meeting,
this here.
excuse
So,
me.
14, revise how the council elected, removing groups, and 2 candidates with the most votes wins. Is it the general understanding of the committee that that was one being left by the by?
Yeah, that's.
Was that
that's no
illegal
further
also?
action.
What's that?
Wasn't that illegal also, I thought?
That one, no, doing elections that way isn't having what they call.
Ranked.
Yeah, ranked choice voting is illegal in Florida. That's not technically that, but in any event.
Yeah, we threw this out.
Yeah, seeing no, anything on that, we're going to put that in the same category. And Dominic, you indicated 6.
We disposed of that
Thank
last
you.
meeting.
Yeah, thank you about that, and that was one I was really searching my memory about. I know it was discussed at length, and where we ultimately came then was no further action.
Right, leave it as is.
I-
What I'm saying, yeah.
I thought number one was procedural. We discussed that, and we came up with, that should be, council can adopt procedures, or, the city manager, the council can, how they want that to appear on the website. That shouldn't really be in.
Yeah, I remember that discussion. Is it the consensus of the committee that we'll start and plow through with one that lies in the realm of the city council or the administration can handle that as a matter of procedure?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
all right.
that's-
Agreed.
yeah. And I think we got rid of 8 too, unless, we said if we're gonna go for 7, we shouldn't go for both, 7 and 8.
Yeah, and I have down here on 8, yeah.
Kevin,
no
I was going
further
to leave
action.
that one alone because I didn't remember if we finished our conversation on 8. So why don't we go down the list like he's doing?
Sure,
and
sure.
Let's make it a goal to get through this list tonight, guys. There's
Yes.
not much here
Absolutely.
left.
That's good.
And yeah, why don't we go ahead and plow through? So we've got 1, 2, and this, there may be some where it's more advisable to bump them and talk about them at the end. This, number 2, was the matter that was raised by our city manager, echoed by myself to some degree, and that was looking at making some revisions to procedures for vacancy and candidacy to avoid potential election delays, primarily stemming out of the matter we had go on just a couple months ago.
That seemed to be a necessity.
To the counter, what's that?
That seemed to be a necessity.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it was an exigent circumstance at the time. So I would suggest maybe we put that one on ice for a little bit and keep plowing through the rest so we can see which other ones can be disposed of. 3, moving qualifying period earlier in the year, making qualifying period longer than 1 week. Some of the discussion on this one did also relate to 2, but it's its own distinct matter as well. I would open it up to the floor initially. We had prior discussion about this when it first came up, but does anyone have any strong feelings or thoughts about this one? Yes, please.
I'd like the qualifying to be at the same time that all the other qualifying is for the county in the second week of June.
Any other thoughts?
Too early.
I
Yeah,
agree.
there was, in our last discussion, it seemed like that was a consensus in that bringing that to the same time period was very apropos.
Well, and that's why I wanted to
Right.
have that discussion now. Barbara, what was your?
I agree with that.
Bringing it to
helps the clerk's
June.
office because the time crunch at the end of qualifying to get everything into the supervisor of elections is difficult at best, yes.
To clarify, we're on 3, correct? Okay.
That's correct.
I already moved ahead, guys. I was on 21. I don't know where you all were.
Yeah,
It's in August now?
August, yeah.
August, right?
yeah. Qualifying's in August now.
I like June, and I think it should be 2 weeks.
One thought I would offer on that, if there's a thought to put it at the same time as the county qualifying, it could be confusing to have it at the same time, but not the same time, longer. Just a thought to keep in mind.
So theirs is only a week, county?
Theirs is only a week, yeah.
You
County is governed by state law.
See,
All the information's available, it's just your paperwork has to be finalized during that
everyone
week.
gets that qualifying period confused, like what Stephen was just saying. It's just the week that everything has to be in.
You can put it in a lot earlier. That's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
Right, you can't.
That's
Because
exactly right.
sometimes you run into, I know what I ran into was, some of your 25, supporters lived in the, didn't live in the city, even though had an Oviedo address, and I had to run out and get 5 or 10 more, so. But I put it in early enough.
That just shows you didn't know enough people, really, that, and understood.
That explains a lot.
Okay.
I was testing the system.
How does everyone else feel who hasn't spoken up on this yet? Just trying to prompt some discussion on this and see if there's
Makes no difference to
Strong
me.
move.
Just so I recall, what was the benefit of moving it earlier so that,
I would leave that to the advocates for it.
One, it helps the clerk's office because they have a longer time to get all the things they need to get to the supervisor of elections office.
okay.
My opinion on the other is if it's at the same time as the county, people are in tune to it's qualifying, it's, so they know, or they're more apt to be
It's fine.
interested.
A lot of times it's not necessarily one person that goes, I'm running for that position. There's movers and shakers that talk to somebody and say, or whatever, and when the county's doing their time period, not if everybody's doing it all at the same time, it's like that popular party discussion, that every party you go to at Christmas or holidays is about a certain thing or whatever. So at that point in time, right after school gets out and everything else, are you gonna run? Type deal.
The other thing, from more of a candidate's perspective, is there are a lot of events that involve all the candidates in June and July before the primary.
Good point.
And so you're more likely to be able to go to a hobnob or something that it allows the public to meet the candidates, where if you have qualifying in August, all those events are over.
Yeah,
You're still a
less than 90
candidate.
days, they know who you're running
But you
against.
could still turn in
you're
your
still a
paperwork
candidate
in
and go.
June, right? I mean,
Once you sign that paper, you're listed as, you're a
Yeah,
candidate.
once you sign the paper, you can go, but it's a good point.
It's a
though.
good point, yeah.
Is everyone in consensus? Sounds like it.
June?
yeah.
I agree.
June.
There you go.
All right. We will put that down as one, and what our next step will be is I will put together, as I did with the other ones, ballot and charter language for you to take a look at as we are getting towards our final steps. So, moving on to number 4.
that's
The
administration.
60 to 90-day window. I wanted to double-check myself to make sure I wasn't misremembering. I spoke with Supervisor Pennick today, actually, just to confirm my recollection and the clerk's recollection. And it is the supervisor's office's recommendation to move these windows out a little bit more from the 60 to 90 to make it 90 to 120, because it gets really cramped for their office to fit within that window of time.
So that's your professional opinion to us.
It would be my recommendation, yes.
Done.
Board, done?
Yeah, and this is for special situations.
That's
Yeah.
right. I mean, it would be a very rare circumstance, but yeah, it would be when it's triggered for the special elections to fill vacancies.
Should we list that one under administration, or just list that one now as done?
I'm sorry?
As admin, you're going to write the language, admin?
Yeah, I'm writing down that it's,
Okay.
yeah, it's going
It's
to be
just done.
recommended. I'm preparing the
Okay.
charter language. Very good. We've previously discussed number 5, and we previously discussed number 6, as we just reiterated. Number 7 is also one that we discussed at the last meeting. Number 8, I had down here no further action. That had been my recollection, but please tell me if I misrecalled. This is the matter of
I
term
thought we decided
limits.
no further action, but
Yeah.
someone said we didn't.
We said we don't want to go for both of those.
Yeah.
At the same time around.
All right,
We didn't
very
want to
good.
ask for both at the same time.
Yeah,
Okay.
fantastic. All right, so we've got our determination on number 8. Number 9, this was recommendation, just as a clarifying matter, we have language in there that says the city manager designates the acting city manager by letter. There's a suggestion to make it by written notice. Here's the only thought I would offer on that. When you get to little bits and bobs in a charter amendment, this is where I was having trouble even putting together kind of a cleanup amendment, because I don't know that that language as it is right now poses a huge inhibition.
Well, the rest of it
What-
says that it has to be filed with the city clerk. If you read the, that's a written letter filed with the city clerk is the way it reads.
And that's
So-
the practice. You copy the city clerk when you do it, right?
Well, I think you do it by email now, right? I mean, because I
Which
was going
is-
to say it's never been done.
Which is a letter. I mean, and that's the thing is I would tell you as a legal matter, an email copying the clerk satisfies the by
That-
letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
So,
There's no magic definition of letter other than,
Okay.
what it means in practice.
Okay.
so can we put no further action?
I would, I appreciate the thought, but that would be my recommendation on that one, because I think what's done now complies with that, and I think the language works fine for it.
Good.
Very good. Number 10, somewhat similarly, it is very often, you'll find this in our own code of ordinances, you'll find in other code of ordinances, and in charters, and in state statutes, they will attribute to the body, the governing body, do a thing. Well, it's never the governing body that does a thing, it's their agents, it's their people go out and do it. And so here, when it says the city council publishes the budget summary, they cause it to be published. So that's a very common drafting form, so I don't know that we'd want to take up ballot space, with that one. Any contrary thoughts on that?
Sounds good. Nope.
Very good. On to the second page already. So we discussed 11. We discussed 12 at the last meeting. Number 13, including wording in the charter that requires election packets to be available by a certain date. I would open it up to any thoughts.
Procedural, council procedural.
I'm sorry?
We decided not to push that.
My recollection as to number 12 at the last meeting was that there was direction, no further action. I reported back, because there was a question, hey, could we do this? And I said, yeah, I think you can. Any interest in doing that? No. So,
I think the city clerk does a great job, especially now. They're advertising it. I've seen it. If people want to run, they have to know they have to go get a package.
Well, again, council can set dates that they would like to see it. We can recommend that they look into doing that. That's all I would do.
what I was thinking about this one as well is just mentioning in the final report, just a general recommendation and encouragement, the committee, is encouraged by hearing what the clerk's doing to push that out and encourages, that that's done. Something to that effect, so.
Resolved. Administration.
Very good. We've discussed number 14, that was previously no further action. Number 15, review the mayor's duty regarding issuing proclamations. We want to dive into this now, we can, or we can bump that.
Well,
Any interest in diving into that now?
all right, so I brought this one up. The way the charter is currently written, the only person up there that can issue a proclamation is the mayor. So depending on whom the mayor is, that mayor handles things differently. So I think I explained when we talked about this last time, my rule always was if a member wanted a proclamation, I would gladly make sure it was issued, but if you wanted it read, you're reading it, I'm not. Type of thing that we would do. Or if a member wanted a proclamation and it was something that the clerk or the attorney would say, we don't know if that's a great idea, we would do a resolution, I believe. What did you used to do, Barbara? I forgot what you used to call them. When they weren't proclamations, we called them something else.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember.
We didn't do many of them.
Brian, do you remember what we used to? Instead of a proclamation, if the mayor didn't do it or something, we called them something else. I forgot what it was.
We would do it as a resolution, but it wouldn't be numbered.
Right, okay, that's it. So it just gets sticky. It's like this sticky wicket because you'll have, members who feel strongly about something, 3 or 4 of them, and, just the mayor, just whomever that mayor is, just doesn't want to do it for some reason. That's not fair to the organization who's requesting it or asking it. I think we should have some way of, the mayor issues proclamations at the pleasure of the council, at a vote, a majority vote of a council, if a member wants it, just something in there to give them another mechanism to let the members have a way of having a proclamation issued. If there's no interest in doing that, that's fine. I'm just explaining the issues that occur. And, and then the issue went, the pendulum, and Stephen knows, swung all the way the other way with another mayor that we had who would proclamate everything. And, Barbara's laughing. She knows which mayor that was. And we would spend the first hour of our meeting having proclamations read. So,
Proclamations.
let Steve speak to it, because he was the one sitting on the end.
Proclamation should be city council. That's the only thing I can really think of. It really should be. Proclamations are a city council, not anybody. I don't care if it's, one member. That's not really, it's not a proclamation for any one member, whether it's the mayor or any member. It should really say, city council issues proclamations, however they want to decide to do it.
So by majority vote then, basically.
Well, essentially, or they can make their own procedures. As council, they can set the procedures and say, hey, if you have something you want to bring up, blah, 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 or it has to come to a majority vote, or some procedural, they can set their own procedures.
I think majority vote makes sense, because you don't want to have 5 proclamations.
And then it just gets by what he's talking about for all the situations. If council has a problem, work it out amongst yourselves, guys. There's 5, people, there's 5 of you there. Figure out how these proclamations will be put together and read amongst you 5. If another group comes in and was like, we don't care, listen, if you got a proclamation, put it forth, we'll read them all, that kind of thing.
I mean, just so the members of this committee are aware what's, well, I won't say precipitating this, but there's a certain proclamation that the current mayor refuses to sign, but the majority of members want signed. And so they are currently on a similar issue. The mayor is issuing a proclamation.
Alternative.
And the members are issuing a resolution. It is the silliest fight amongst them, and it's because of this. And it's not fair to the majority that a minority blocks this. So I like Stephen's suggestion, at the pleasure of council, and let them figure the rules out.
I'm not necessarily opposed to changing the verbiage.
Right.
But I think it's important that we don't change it due to one person. We change it for the charter.
Oh, yeah, no.
Not for a person.
I was just giving everyone an example.
That's how I think the charter should say,
Right.
city council issues
Yeah.
proclamations.
I've given
It's really
many examples
ridiculous.
from-
I'm not in disagreement with that, Shane.
I'll give another example. We had a ceremonial mayor at the time who did 0 proclamations because in their mind, nobody deserved a proclamation. So, I mean, and you can imagine who that is. So, I mean, this thing has just been all over. So that's why I brought it up.
Okay, but if the council can issue a resolution instead of a proclamation, does whatever group is on the receiving end really care whether it's a proclamation or a resolution? I mean, that seems
You get like
pretty easy to
five,
me.
you get like 3 proclamations read out, and then
A resolution, yeah.
you're getting a resolution. You're not
Sounds
getting
like
a
you gotta divide
proclamation.
it.
It's just a difference. You get 3 groups up there. We're giving a proclamation to the swim team, the soccer team won national, states this year, blah, blah. Then we're doing another proclamation for veterans or somebody else. Then we're going to do a resolution for this other group or whatever. It does stand out. I mean, it becomes a little like, oh, that's weird that you're sitting there wondering about it. Again, either way, it just,
I think that's a very,
it's,
I think the
it's not
majority
against
vote-
any, I don't care, it's not against anybody, I think it just should say, city council
think
issues
this is just a bunch of
proclamations, I could,
council
they'll
gobbledygook.
decide it.
Gobbledygook that nobody that votes is going to give a crap about.
Yeah.
And I think it's a waste of space.
It could be a waste of space too. I think it's a wording thing that,
Let the
It should be
5
city
adults
council says
up
it.
there figure it out.
I'm more the exacting, this should have very little in it, so I'm not going to disagree, it's a waste of space on the ballot.
Yeah.
But I look at this and go, yeah, this is not tight, this should really say, it really should say, city council issues proclamations, that's my only, it really should say that, so
That recommendation letter said, you guys play nice.
we can do that.
Well, in the other aspect of it, we do have a council that, we only give the mayor a voting presence and basically an honorial aspect of you were elected mayor, not a veto power, not an extra vote, not a governing aspect. So why wouldn't we allow all things to be council-related as opposed to, oh, this is where you get to exert whatever power you think you have? So it just evens out the council totally.
I'm going to say it this way. You're going to put a list of, like, things that are, could this fall under the kind of cleanup? Because city council should issue proclamations. I don't know that this falls under that. You can, it's not enough.
It's.
Too much.
That's not something I
No,
characterize
okay,
as cleanup.
I'm just making
Yeah.
sure. Because
Just
again,
'cause,
I think it's really,
It's making a real change, whether voters would think it's an
Yeah.
important change or not, it's making a real change.
Yeah, you can have a group that.
I'd say, let's see, can we put this on, let's see how we shape up and kind of just throw it at the end and say, hey, if we only have 2 things to add, throw it on there, see if it's a vote. If not, who cares? It's again, like you just said, it makes a change, it means something. I'll give, the only other time I said stuff means something is, it used to be thrown around, not we, because I never thought that it should be this way. Deputy mayor was just this thing that used to be just like, yeah, deputy mayor, you're a deputy mayor this year, you're a deputy mayor that year. For years, people just went, yeah, you're deputy mayor. Because who cares? Deputy mayor doesn't really mean anything, except if the mayor resigns. Holy crap, does it become very important at that moment, and nobody ever thought of that really until the mayor resigned. They went, wait, what happens if the mayor resigns? Stuff, and as I said, there is some substance to it, I'm not saying it's grand,
And
but
even here-
there's some substance to it, so if we
Even-
just come back to it, that's how I'd look at it.
Even here, as a group, we're making recommendations that, as recommendations, they'll be worded, should they, by council, be decided to go to ballot to be voted on. And it would be a recommendation that, if the council as a whole goes, yeah, and says, put that one through, or they could go, yeah, no, that's okay, we're good. We're just making a recommendation to them.
Question.
Yes, sir.
In reviewing this, is it stating that the mayor would lose that opportunity, or the mayor would be included in the council for proclamation?
Included.
So, yeah, the mayor's a voting member of the council, so.
It becomes a majority thing rather than just the mayor's thing.
Yeah, if, the
I got
thought I've heard discussed in all this, because there's a couple different ways you can skin the cat on this.
Okay.
Well, what it sounds like I'm hearing, the idea would be to, from the list of powers of the mayor, stated in the infinitive here, to issue proclamations relating to events and so on, that that line would effectively move from the list of the powers of the mayor and move over to the list of the powers of the council.
Okay.
That same line.
I wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah, and the mayor is a voting member of the council, and so.
Good. I'm good.
Nobody's taking anything away, they're all
Yeah.
equal.
I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yeah, and it becomes a decision when we send our recommendations to city council. If they, as a collective group, go, we're good the way it is, they can toss it. If they're like, thank you for making that recommendation, we feel that might be something, and go through it.
Okay,
We just give them the opportunity.
I'm good.
So at this point, where are we
Let's
landing on
come back
this?
to it when we see how many recommendations we
Circle
have.
back.
All right.
Thought that was an easy one.
I always want to snap a whip and go rawhide when I hear that.
All right. Number 16, review the wording for mayor's duty emergency powers. And this was in reference to, in some ways, one of the more technical and frankly typical in a lot of charters language that you find. And that's in, you can't bring that up easily, can we? Can we bring up the charter?
Steven,
Figured
you
it
brought
might be
this up.
useful
What
for
did
you
you
all
have?
to see it.
I don't know if I brought this up.
You did.
And actually, now that we're up to 17, we disposed of 17, if I remember right, because we were going to let
306.
whomever the city manager was set the policy on.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. We'll get to that in just a sec. I just want to keep on 16.
Oh, no. We already disposed of 17, that's all I'm saying.
He's on 16.
Thank you. Yeah, was that at the last meeting that we,
Or 2 meetings ago,
yeah,
maybe.
I'm trying to recall.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to skip over 16. I figured while she was
While
setting
she's
it up.
bringing up 16, let me just for confirmation's sake, is it everyone's recollection or consensus that 17, where there was modifications to the language relating to inquiries and so on, was there any
Well,
contrary sentiment on
Yeah,
that
I would
idea?
like to talk more about 17, but let's finish one at a time instead
Okay,
of
all right.
bouncing back and forth.
Let's take a look at 16 here real quick. And where are we? It was number, yeah, I apologize, that subsection's missing on the list here, we'll correct that. It is 3.05A subsection 4. You able to zoom in a little bit?
Yes.
That'd be wonderful, just on the bottom part of the page.
I can't put it all in something.
No, just the
No,
bottom
that's
part of the
fine.
page. 3.05, yeah, there we go. Perfect, it's number, yeah, right there, perfect. It's number 4, be the official under the provision of state law for the purposes of declaring states of emergency within the city limits and to exercise emergency powers. So I actually have a little bit of an update in one part to this. I mentioned this at one of the last meetings. In the charter, there was a footnote, and it referenced a chapter of Florida statutes, chapter 870. That's actually not the emergency management statute that cities deal with most often, all right? That's chapter 252. That's when we have hurricanes and frankly, when we had COVID and other things like that. That's the much more invoked emergency statute. This statute in chapter 870, it actually has to do with riot and when you have like criminal mischief and riot and declaring curfews and great stuff like this. And when I went and took a look at that statute, this is actually a direct lift, this language, from that statute. The declaring states of emergency within the city limits and to exercise emergency powers. It is an old, archaic statute. The last time it was updated was 1970, as I recall.
Oh, wow.
And it's really from the old days before we had the city manager form of government in most places.
That's
And
what
it
it sounds like, yeah.
says that either the mayor or the police chief in any city shall have this power, and the sheriff in every county shall have this power. And again, this is for when you have riots, that you have curfews and
So
all of
basically,
this.
is this something, an example for use on this would be Volusia County areas like New Smyrna, Daytona Beach, in their spring break curfews and things that they've applied.
Yeah, those curfews that they've imposed are probably just operating under their home rule powers. It's a very particular thing you trigger that statute for. But it's similar. It's similar. I guess what I'm suggesting is there's a lot of muckiness with this little bit. I think we've got a fairly robust system set up here under the more common emergency declarations that are called under Chapter 252. They have an adopted plan for the city manager to exercise those powers and so on. I don't want to inadvertently break anything in the charter, is I guess what I'm saying along those lines.
I listened to bring this up, I have no clue what.
Your recommendation is
problem.
leave it alone then.
My suggestion would be,
Walk away
it's
from it.
kind of an arcane little thing there, and it's probably not hurting anything. My suggestion would probably be leave it be.
Good,
Leave it alone.
good.
Fantastic. You find that sometimes, old statutes, that you just got to parrot the words to do certain things. All right, moving now on to 17. I trust your recollection, Dominic, but I just wanted to confirm, because I didn't have it down when we were at this point of making hard decisions on cutting things and so on. This is the matter that I had brought up, and Councilmember Ott had brought up previously and given to me to share with you all. And this had to do with, could you bring up section 3.06 very quickly? It should be very closely after that. This had to do with a typical provision you find in charters, the non-interference provision. Basically it reads, except for the purpose of inquiries and investigations under section 3.0801D, the council or its members shall deal with the city officers and employees who are subject to direction and supervision of the city manager solely through the city manager. Neither the council nor its members shall give orders to any such officer or employee, either publicly or privately. Councilmember Ott's suggestion or recommendation was not to make wholesale gigantic changes to any of this. It was basically endorsing what current city manager's practice is with regard to having free and open communication between the council members and department heads, okay? So you all had a discussion on this previously. I think discussion generally went in the direction of that was, folks seem to think that that was a very good practice. I think some of the discussion also went to the fact that in the future, different city managers may have different management styles. And so the question of
What
whether
is
or
the
not to
current
lock things
policy?
in. What's that?
What's the current policy?
I would turn that over to the man. Sure.
I allow the council members to have direct access.
Why?
I like them to have firsthand information. And what I ask of them is that if they make a question to a director, that they copy me so that I know that the question's being
You
asked.
don't feel that intimidates employees?
It doesn't intimidate the directors. The directors, I feel, and this is just me, I believe that the directors should have a relationship with the city council. Now, I do say, do not go below the director level, because yes, you do, I use the word freak out. You freak out the employees when you go below the director level. But the directors, I mean, they're all required to be at the city council meetings. They're all required to make presentations before council. So I believe that, and they are the subject matter expert in most things. I don't like the council having to get secondhand information through me when the director can explain it much better. And so I do give them access to the director. But I know, as a story that I told at the last meeting, it was brought up at a CalNo meeting, and they were going around the table talking about, well, my city manager does, I can only talk to him, and Councilmember Pollack at the time explained, well, our city manager gives us access to the directors, but no one else. And he said it works really well. We've developed a good relationship with our directors. He said, but if someone abuses it, he can take it away at any time. And that was, how he did it. So yeah, I'm a little different, but I have found that it creates a better relationship between the council and the staff because the council has a trust in that director. They know that director has the expertise that you're talking about.
See, I see that as being one of the things, as I mentioned before, that it is written in to determine how you like to manage as opposed to having it be for the sake of the charter. You follow me?
But I think that
And if you're not there next year, what will somebody else want to do then?
Right, and that's one of the things, that I asked Mr. Bose when Mr. Ott brought it up. Am I violating the charter? And he said no. And you're right. Another council member, another city manager could take the attitude of, no, you work through me, and that's fine. The city managers that I worked for here, because I worked for all of them, all had that same philosophy. And I watched it backfire on them. And I think that's one of the things I'm working off of lessons learned. But I have found, one, they're getting firsthand information from the subject matter expert. And then two, I'm seeing that level of trust being developed between the council and the staff that wasn't there when I was a director.
Right.
And so I've seen the benefits from it, but I've also seen some of the stress from it too.
So, to be
Question.
clear, the language as it is now allows you to do that or not do that.
It does allow that.
Yeah.
So that gives the
Yeah.
flexibility.
And then
The language in there deal solely through the city manager. That through is very flexible language. It's through, he's the gatekeeper. He says, yay or nay, I'll allow this, I won't allow this. You've gone out of bounds too far, I'm not allowing it anymore, and so on. That is completely consistent with
Have
this
you
language.
ever actually pulled back that flexibility?
Thankfully, I never had to.
Good for you.
I've had
Smart
some,
man.
I've had some come very close. I really have. I've had a few council members come very close. But no, it really, what I look at is if they ever get to the point where they're giving direction, that's when I need to pull it back. But as long as they're asking questions, then I'm okay.
And as long as you're confident.
Let me tell you all how that phone call goes.
I do have a question though, because as it's worded now, and should, for some unknown reason, the council is looking for a new city manager, it becomes their responsibility to interview in a way that they hire a like-minded individual. If they hire someone that goes, nope, just through me, well, that's on the council. So the wording is such that gives freedom both ways, and it becomes the council's process to hire accordingly.
It's absolutely one of the things that a city council is interviewing for is
Yeah.
management style, and that's,
Right.
jives with what they're looking for.
But I'd rather see in the city charter is an embodiment of the culture that we've established. And we've established that culture, it's working well, and I don't necessarily think that I would rather see it in writing than allowing it to maybe be at the whim of whatever city manager comes next.
One thing I would offer, if, to try to encapsulate the entire dynamic of what you've just heard from the city
Yeah.
manager, because you could encapsulate part of it.
Sure.
You could say, the part of it would be, they can talk to the department heads.
They can make
But-
inquiries of the department heads.
Understood.
That's a different thing than just talk to, because talk to could include direction.
Understood. So you could make it inquire of the department heads, all right? The issue there, all right, it becomes that the ability, we just talked about this, never had to be really fully pulled on. But that ability where something is going off the rails in the view of the city manager to rein that in, to pull it back, goes away. Because once you get beyond kind of very simple mechanistic, yes, you can, no, you can't type things, you can't legislate good behavior. You just can't. I mean, I could write 5 pages of yes/no rules, and it would only encompass, a little bit of the nuance you had heard described from Brian. So I'm not suggesting do or don't do anything on this. I'm trying to tell you the limitations of legislating
Oh,
good
yeah.
behavior. It's very difficult.
Right, but I would rather have the council members always have the ability to inquire, not just talk to, because I think that's too broad.
Not to give orders.
Right.
What was that?
Not to give orders. to
Oh,
the-
yeah, no,
We're
But I
talking
think-
about city
But that's what it
manager.
already says.
yeah, it would, very rarely do I make strong recommendations on things, but if there were significant fooling around with the giving orders piece, then you're fundamentally changing or throwing out your city manager form of government. This is seen as the fundamental backstop in most charters to make that work.
We probably had, if you laid them all out, the whole range of city managers, and each of them did this a little bit different. I will agree. Brian does give a great ability, and it does breed trust from both sides, I think, that, I'll say Bobby Wyatt, in public works, you're talking about Wyatt, you're wondering, hey, how come you guys just did a road study, blah, 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 can you give me information about that? And he can sit down with you, and Brian will say, yeah, go ahead, look at it, and really go through it with you and give you the information. Others, that level wasn't there, and some, it was even less, that it was, no, we're going to all, either you'll sit with me, and we'll go over it, and I went over that with you kind of atmosphere, to just, you can see it at the meeting. That will be, when we get to the presentation, your presentation will be given to you at that podium. So, yeah, we've kind of seen all different levels. And I agree, I think, I like things clean in here, but also it gives city council, hey, if they want somebody to tell them and just feed them the information through that person, they have a trust in, I trust that person, and they're my gatekeeper for everything, and that's what city council wants. I don't want to burden, you never want to burden city council, that's a thing in anything. This, you can put a burden in city council and say, you will always be open to Brian's type of, management style versus someone who, hey, I want to see a scope of nothing goes through, that's it, or you can go, force upon them, you're allowed to go talk to every director, or, again, inquire every director, so.
So
I would say
even if-
leave it as is.
So even if but I'm thinking I mean, you never know who's going to be elected. I mean, you don't know their management style, so to speak, when you're voting for them. And I would always want the council members to be able to inquire of a
But,
director.
and I say this with all honesty, it's like, but if that's not what the public wants, you got to live with what, and I hate to say it, but that's, you got bad choice, every once in a while, there's people that get elected and you go, I don't want that person, and it could be me. You ran against me, so I don't want that guy elected. So it could be, well, I don't want that guy elected. And thus, you're stuck with somebody. So that could be the
Right.
result, and if all of council, if 3 out of the 5 are people you go like, man, I really don't like their style of management, but that's the style of manager they want, that's for council to decide. I mean, that's
Yeah, but
kind of
I
how,
think-
it's a representative government.
But I think at the end of the day, city council will make better decisions if council members have more access to information rather than at some future date that can be limited.
Oh, I'm, all that information, that's me, 100%, but it's just where you're getting it from. It could be, if you want to request information, you go through Brian. That could be the city manager saying. I
But
just want to
like you said, he's not necessarily a subject matter expert. and you may have a follow-up question that, you know, that.
I'm really not disagreeing with you. I understand what you're saying, but if that's what council wants to live with, God bless them. I would never want to be in that situation. But if they want to go, there's only one man responsible. You're the guy responsible. We're going to hold you 100%. So if there's bad information that gets to me somehow, you're the guy, because inevitably you are anyway. But I'm only going to rely on you to give me that. If you give me that information and I find out at the next 2 days later at a council meeting, they're presenting something entirely different.
So let's offer city council a recommendation that they can make inquiries of council heads, of directors.
You can't open the floodgates up. There's got to be a gatekeeper. We've had, you know, and with all respect, we hashed this out at the last meeting of the meeting before. I don't think there's consensus. There has to be a gatekeeper at some point in time. You can't just have 5 different members going to all these department directors. It would just become chaos.
Yeah, that was
So-
my question. How would you even word that?
Yeah, I mean,
Like how,
the gate,
because
you
could
just leave it
call,
alone
you
the
could
way it
email,
is, and let
right?
that
I
city
mean, so
manager decide.
Yeah,
That seems like that would be logistical.
there are a lot of ways you can word
Okay.
things. But.
And
yeah,
truly,
let-
there really hasn't, there's been city managers who have had a tighter lid, let's call it, on it, but that was more at the beginning, and as they were here a little bit, then the lid started to loosen up, and information started to flow a little bit. Well, not information, that's a very bad word. Communication. You know, it's got to be the manager that they hire, he or her.
And I would think that would be something that a new city manager coming in would want to have that ability that, hey, I'm just coming in, I don't want to have to be figuring everything out and be getting information that my that the council is going to department heads and I need to figure that out. Let me have everything come through me first. Once I start to understand how things are flowing, then I can open it up a little bit and let people go. If somebody just abuses the power, like Brian said, we can reel them in.
And I'll give you one other, you just hit something too. The worst thing that could ever happen is something, again, you're just going to Bobby Wyatt, I don't have to go through Brian, I go talking to Bobby, and Bobby just got information, he's telling me stuff, and I come back to the city manager, and he goes, I haven't even heard that yet. That's probably a worst-case scenario, that if you come in and say, yeah, Bobby just told me, blah, 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 and you go,
Take it one step further.
Not good.
What happens when one member all of a sudden has more information from that department director than the other 4?
because that's the other thing Brian then will disseminate. Oh, there's, in the information gathering from one council member that he's party of, seeing things, oh, you know what? If one has a question, probably, most of them will have that question, he'll disseminate it out.
Well, I can see 2 different scenarios. One is a new council member who's, feels like they need to get up to speed on ongoing issues. And I can see another scenario where there's an issue in the city and there's a council member who really wants to drill down and get very specific, granular information. And I think that both of those are legitimate reasons for inquiring of a director.
Right, but it can't not be, the point you're missing is it can't be blanket that any member can go gather their own information. They have to make decisions as a group.
Well,
And the
that's
way-
why Brian said that everything's copied to him. I mean,
Right,
it's
and
not like.
that's the language you have.
Yeah, and again, that's
But
where we get into,
there's a difference
if you
between
want to.
copied to him and he decides that council member can't have information.
That isn't what happens.
But that's a whole
I
different,
sat there for
you're hitting
20
that thing
years.
that somebody's withholding information versus a procedural. You're saying, well, then they're withholding information. Well, if they're withholding information, and I'm not going to say didn't happen, you could have one council member knowing more, and it's been set up on the dais. How come XYZ knows and the rest of us don't? That's a problem that will work itself out. That doesn't relate really to this. That's a different problem that I think
Right.
you're trying to solve. This is about information and how they can gather it. Anyway.
So thank you all very much for that conversation. Let me just ask the whole group. I want to see, is there anything near a majority interest in implementing a change
I think we leave it
along these
alone.
lines?
Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Leave it
I'm
alone.
hearing a lot of leave it alone, so
Okay.
very much appreciate your thoughts.
Unless you want to go to districts, so
He's smelling his share. He's like, hey, when we go to district, I gotta vote for this.
It's good old log rolling right there. I'll get this, we'll do this. It's good stuff. All right. We're gonna put this down right now, no further action. And move on down to 18. This was actually my recommendation, and as I've thought about it more, it does not keep me up at night anymore. So I would probably suggest that you take no action on it. This was the matter that had kind of curious language in there that said, when folks resign and they issue a letter of resignation, that its effective date can't be any more than 30 days out from it. That seemed weird to me because that conflicts with the resign to run law I mentioned before. As I thought about it more, I realized, well, it conflicts with the resign to run law, and the resign to run law trumps it, overrides it, it's preempted. So if somebody is doing a resign to run law letter under 99012, this charter provision is trumped. So.
You hand that letter in, you're resigned.
Well, no, when you hand that letter in, it
gives an
goes
effective-
pursuant
Right,
to
you can't
the-
take the letter back.
Yeah, no, in any event, it's irrevocable, which is also what the resign to run letter. If for some reason somebody did a resignation letter that wasn't resigned to run, then there's just, I don't want to do this anymore, but they tried to do it 45 days out, and it wasn't resigned to run, I'd say, sorry, it's got to be, 30 days. So in any event, it seemed a little weird. I have a resolution to it, to make it so it doesn't conflict with state law. I don't think any amendment is necessary. It's just interpretation. So my recommendation, from my prior recommendation, was just no further action.
Agreed.
sounds good to me.
Good.
Sounds good.
We have discussed and addressed the matter of moving charter review from 5 years to possibly 8 years or another longer amount, number 19. Moving on down to item 20. This was a recommendation. I briefly mentioned the extensive process that's laid out for initiative and referendum for ordinances by initiative and having referendum on certain ordinances and so on. To my general understanding, it's never actually been brought to bear or invoked in Oviedo before, but there was a recommendation from a member as a thought to reduce the petition percentage required. Does anyone have any discussion on that matter?
Remind me how many that we are requiring now?
A great question. I will take a peek.
125?
Equal to the at least 15% of the total number of qualified voters. And we thought that qualified voters to vote at the last regular city election, we thought that was a pretty tall number. But I don't
Require
remember.
125 signatures, and you thought that was a
No,
tall
no,
number?
no,
No.
no.
No, 15%, 15% of the qualified voters.
But if it's 15% of like 35,000, 3,500?
That's a good point, yes, lots of items.
I think we went through that last time. It's
So
like
3,500.
It's
24,000
something,
or
yeah, it's
something.
in the 20-some odd range.
High 20s. Yeah, I think we looked up as like high 20s, 28.
28,
I
even
don't
more.
remember. But that's to initiate a referendum.
Right.
That has nothing to do with qualifying.
Qualifying, yeah, that's just to initiate a
And there's a
referendum.
reason why that
Which is a
bar
big
is
deal.
high.
It's a big deal.
I
That
mean,
makes sense for a referendum.
Right.
yeah.
And qualified voter, I mean, does that mean voting age or
No,
registered?
yeah, it means you're registered to vote.
Registered.
Is that-
Yeah, that's a statutory term, yeah.
4,000.
Right, that's for initiate a referendum.
Yeah, you got to get 4,000 plus, real signatures that are verified and blah, blah, blah to do that.
So we're going to leave that one alone.
Yep.
All right, yeah. Is there any strong wave of people wanting to make that change?
No.
All right. All right. Victor, number 21. I think I can even slip in doing that little correction just as a, not even with the charter amendment. That's just notation.
Well-
So,
And it's just throughout the document.
no, I understand.
I'm not this particular piece, but
Yeah.
just in general.
Because it's literally changing nothing at all.
Yeah.
This is a hyper-technical difference for you. There's the slightest bit of latitude under Florida law for making changes in charters without referenda for purely Scrivener stuff like this and so on. In contrast to county charters, Seminole County is a charter county, you can't change a single word in a county charter without a referendum. Even stuff like that. Even on municipal charters where you can take stuff out that's been found unconstitutional, you can't do that with county charters. So in any event, my recommendation would be that wouldn't be an actual charter amendment. We'll clean it up one way or the other.
Okay.
If we had a cleanup amendment where we're throwing some other stuff in, I'd just throw that in for the fun of it. But
Okay.
I don't think we have much
Understood.
going on there. And finally, the last one we had, Catherine, was something you had mentioned there. The language in 4.06, got to remind myself here very quickly. It had to do with the personnel system. So 4.06, again, this is a very typical piece of language you find in municipal charters throughout the state. And it provides all appointments and promotions of city officials and employees, except those specifically exempted by this charter or ordinance, should be made solely on the basis of merit and fitness, demonstrated by examination or other evidence of competence. And Catherine, at that time, you had mentioned that you wanted to look at the language on the basis of merit and fitness. Did you have any
Well, the
further
good
thought or
news would
discussion
be
on
I
that?
have no idea what I was talking about.
Not a problem.
That was like mine. I'm like, okay.
This thing's done.
That at all.
Yeah, and
A month ago?
and
No.
I will tell you, this is.
Catherine, you have the floor.
Yeah. This is, as I said, this is language, it's kind of reform language from a bygone age. It's just to put out there generally that the enterprise is not to just go hire everybody's buddies and put them in this, that, or whatever, that you're going to have a personnel system that you endeavor to promote based on, good work and competence and so on. How that all pans out, it always pans out differently in different places and so on, but this is meant to be the general thrust and direction of how a personnel system is supposed to work. So, any questions on this one, or?
Can it?
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right. Well, we've made it through our list that had been put together. We skipped over.
Back to number 2, I think.
We skipped over number 2, just because that might have gotten us into a discussion, may or may not have.
And
2 and 15 are the only two we have to revisit.
Yeah, why don't we use our time to go back to 2 first? So, as we discussed before, the concern that we had, and by the way, at least for me, I don't think this is a die-on-the-hill concern, because historically in Oviedo it's been very rare that this circumstance happen. It just happens to be recent in the mind, so we're fighting the last war in our heads when we look at any of this stuff. But the concern that is hypothetical on the face of it, but looked like it could have become real as we were going through, is the matter raised. I'm going to get to the language here. The matter raised by the fact that when you have a race that starts, you have two or more, or you have two or more candidates that start in a race that both qualify. And then one or more folks drop out such that at that point you have only one candidate in the race. In contrast to what you find in a lot of other charters, it's just those other people dropped out, that person won.
Yeah.
In this instance here, it has the qualifying period has to reopen. And that's all well and good, except there's no provision to deal with what happens if it reopens when you're really close to the election. That scenario is not played out at all here. So you could come up with a circumstance where you are, hypothetically, a week out from the election and somebody drops out. What is to be done then? We'd figure something out, but the charter says you reopen qualifying, and I don't know what that means when the ballots have been printed and so on. So that's the matter.
What do other municipalities do? What do you represent cities all over and counties?
We do.
What's common?
I don't want to say it's exclusive. This is the first charter that I have seen in my experience, both among cities that our office represents and in my charter work around the state, where you have this, if it goes to less than two, folks drop out after qualification, that it reopens. You do see that in state law. I think I mentioned this before. You see that in state law with, or something similar to it, with partisan races, okay? So when you get past a partisan primary, running for state rep or county commission or what have you, and then you end up with a Republican candidate and a Democrat candidate, and then the Republican candidate drops out or passes away, as happened in Orange County a number of years ago, or what have you, then there is a vacancy in nomination at that point, and the party is allowed to fill it. They don't have another primary. They actually get together, in that instance, the Republican or Democrat executive committee for the county or counties involved, and they choose, okay? It's one of those few instances where those party executive committees have direct power in the election code, in the election system, and they fill that vacancy and nomination. Because in that instance, the idea is the parties have some interest in having somebody in the race. In this instance here, of course, your races are nonpartisan. What this provides is it reopens for nomination. When I say that, and I think I said this before, when I say I haven't seen that anywhere else, I'm not saying that's inherently bad or anything. The only matter that was giving us heartburn was when that opens up at a later point in the process where it's going to throw everything else haywire. That's the only thing that was giving staff, the city manager, and I some pause, because we don't know what we would do if it happened a week before the election. So,
That's
turn it back
interesting.
to anybody for any thoughts.
Qualifying, we're going to recommend that they ask the voters that we move qualifying up, right, to June. So we're adding more time to the qualifying, not the qualifying period, but the period from when you're qualified to election. We're adding more time.
The window, from the formal qualifying period to the election day, yes.
So are you able to put like a timeline, like a deadline on it, if somebody drops out by, say, whatever our old qualifying used to be, let's just say mid-August, so just pick
August, yeah.
that it opens back up for a week or something, or?
You could absolutely do something like that.
Or the date of the primary, something like.
Yeah, and if you wanted to make it really sync up well with how the state election system works, it could be somewhere around, if the vacancy occurs prior to the,
Like 90 days or something.
if it happens prior to the county primary date, which is in August, okay? The reason why that's relevant, by the way, is the August primary date, that is the real driving window on when those ballots go to print for November, okay? So if you make it so that you'd have to have, somebody drops out and you have a qualifying period, and you get that qualifying period done before the primary election happens in August, then you're perfectly in sync for ballot printing.
Right.
And you're going to be locked in with your new candidate without mucking up anything for the supervisor. So
That makes sense.
Now,
if
with-
you're backing that out and you do that, that is something you could do.
Would those two questions, moving up the qualifying and this particular question, be able to be one question?
I think it probably could, because I was,
It would have to be one question.
kind of enables the other.
Yeah, sometimes they're not allowed to be one question, which is why I asked.
Yeah, and I am, even when you don't have a strict single subject requirement, the rules on municipal charter amendments are a little weird. Technically, there's not a prohibition on single subject, but there is a prohibition on confusing or misleading ballot questions. And oftentimes, when you start mixing and mashing completely unrelated things, in my opinion, you can drift into confusing the electorate as what you're doing. In this instance, these two things are inexorably linked.
Yeah.
I mean, one enables the other. The idea, you move it back further, now you've just created a natural, very useful window of time to be able to say, all right, we can have this thing, so, because the ill that was discussed before was folks coming in, they qualify, and then they drop out the day after qualifying, and then their buddy who also qualified, just wins directly. You're going to have a whole window of time from qualifying all the way to the August thing there.
It could still happen, but at least.
It could, but you take the edge off that. Someone's really going to have to keep up the act for many months as opposed to a day or an hour. So no, I think those matters could be put together as a single question doing both of those things.
So we can trust you to put together that language.
Yeah,
and move forward.
what are y'all, is everyone's thoughts I should put together a language doing those two things for y'all to take a look at?
Yep.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Agreed.
All right.
Right.
Very good. Well, that gets
To
to
15.
that.
Did we decide on number one? Like,
Administrative.
Yeah, number one was,
Oh, okay. I didn't write anything
leave that
down.
alone. Yeah,
Okay.
it's more of a procedural thing. And so the one we said
15.
to circle back on, we do have some time, and we ought to use it
How many,
wisely.
right, as of this moment, how many questions kind of does it feel we're
Let's take a look.
4.
looking at? 4, right?
We have one,
Or 3?
actually, these are, the 2 and 3 would be together,
Together,
so
so
that's
that's one,
1,
right?
2, 3, 4.
And 7. 5 and 7.
Yeah, I'm seeing 4 right now, which is a healthy but very reasonable number generally.
Come on, we've had 18 questions.
Yeah, I'm sure you've had more than 4, yeah.
I've only bundled.
So, yeah, as of right now, I'm seeing 4, so,
And that's, you said 2, 3 together, right?
2 and 3 together,
4,
number 4, number 5,
right?
and number 7. So sorry to revisit it so quickly after discussing it already, but does anybody have any further thoughts on the moving around, issuing proclamations bit? And if you're talked out on that, we can talk about it at your next meeting, but.
I would say I'm talked out, I don't care, but I'd put it there and let council decide if they want to do 5 questions, 4 councils, 4 questions, 5 questions. If they don't feel it's important, they feel they want to do it. Otherwise, again, it's not, to me, it's just, and I know it's not I don't think it was my issue, but it clarifies. To me, it should be that way. So it's one of those, throw it out there, see if council wants to bite on it. It's not that vital and important, but they
Wade,
want.
could you put the question together so we can
That's
see?
what I was going to recommend, yeah.
And then let's.
Then
Why
we'll have
don't I
five
put together
questions
the charter and ballot language, and then you'll see it
Yeah.
crystallize what you got, and then you decide whether or not you want to go with it.
Good.
Yeah, because these first four, I think are pretty hefty
Yeah.
issues. And 15 seems to be
Very light.
a much less.
Yep,
Yeah.
I agree.
I'll put it
Although
together,
I
and
do think that on 15, our voting basis that regularly votes is going to be that group of people that include those looking for proclamations and stuff. And they may want, if the council says, oh yeah, let's see what the voters say, they may want, some of them may have been subject to, we didn't get a proclamation, but we got a referendum or whatever. We don't want that to happen. So it's a possibility.
I think the only tough question on this ballot is terms.
Terms.
Yeah.
Everything else gonna pass.
Yep.
Agreed.
In terms,
All
it's going
right.
to be an educational aspect, I would think.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'd like to see
Well-
it pass, God, I would, but.
members, I think you plowed through all the different topics that you had figured out while going through the charter here. What I think we'll end up doing at the next meeting is, I'm going to have charter and ballot language for you for all the items we indicated. I will have, just for completeness, I'll have the ones we provided before, one with the little tweak to the language we had talked about, to do a little bit of clarifying language, but you'll have all of that in front of you at your next meeting. I may or may not also take a crack of having a draft of final report for you all to see. There's really not much to it. It's just saying, hey, this is what we did, and so on. That's why this does a lot of work. Just attach that, and it tells a lot. So the hope will be at your next meeting, we may be at the point of getting things buttoned up, because there is no great merit in driving this to the last minute if you can get this done in April. So,
Sounds great.
Wait, I have a question.
yes, sir.
Section 4.08.08. In the middle of this paragraph, there's a phrase, "not to exceed the mileage amount set by general laws."
Say,
Which general
number
laws?
3?
No, no,
40808.
40808.
40808. Okay, gotcha. Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed the
Millage amount, yeah, not the
What-
millage amount set by.
Which general laws? Is it county, state?
Oh, yeah, general law, good question. General law is a term of art in Florida.
Okay.
It's, general law means the laws of general application that are applicable to the entire state, as opposed to what are called special laws or special acts, which are applicable only to a particular place. So what this is meaning here is in Chapter 166 and Chapter 200 that deal with millages and setting budgets and millages and stuff like that. So general law or general laws is referring to the laws that are applicable to all 411 cities. Any other questions or anything else for us to discuss? Thank you all very much. We're adjourned. We'll see you all at your next meeting.
Thank you, Wade. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And how was your daughter's play?
It was fantastic, and I made it on time.
What play
so-
was it? What'd she do?